This is going to be your guide for using Duraludon in Pokemon Sword and Shield. So Duraludon can be compared to Centiskorch in the way that it doesn't have anything special. There's no unique move, no unique ability, it just has a Gigantamax form, which for the most part isn't going to be used in competitive play, so it's just a bundle of stats and a moveset. And if that bundle of stats and a moveset is good, then Duraludon is good. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's not as busted as Centiskorch, it's just going to be an alright Pokemon. So the first thing I want to do is break down the typing, because we have seen Steel Dragon before, but not outside of legendary Pokemon. So once again, depending on the formats that you primarily play, you might not have encountered a Steel Dragon Pokemon, which is actually really good. I mean, look at this right here. We have immunity, tons of resistances, and only 2 weaknesses. Fighting isn't super common, and ground, well, that's just what happens when you play a Steel-type Pokemon, but overall, you're going to tank out a lot, and then those neutral hits really aren't going to matter, because our ball of stats is still kind of alright. That we have a 115 on defense, 70 hit points could be better, 50 special defense is pretty bad, but we still have a 535 base stat total, so we eat physical hits, and then we deal back much stronger hits, and that's going to be Duraludon. It's just like a standard straight-up bruiser Pokemon, but the biggest problem about it is that it does not have sustain. So all the damage that lands on Duraludon is going to stick, and that's going to kind of suck for Duraludon in some situations. Now, as for Duraludon's abilities, we have pretty trash abilities, and that's one thing that's holding Duraludon back. So we have Light Metal, Heavy Metal, and Stalwart. Stalwart is only going to be used in doubles and ignores the effects of opposing Pokemon abilities and moves that draw in moves. Now, that's going to be good for Storm Drain, but we really don't have any Water-type moves that we're going to be using, and there's premier Pokemon using Follow Me like Togekiss, that's a Fairy-type, so we want to wreck that thing with a Steel move. However, I could just kind of say do it just in case like some really weird interaction happens for doubles. As for singles, run the Heavy Metal, that way you take less damage from the Heat Crash, and technically Heavy Slam, but that's kind of it, like Heavy Metal, really niche interactions. However, it's going to be good when you just take less damage. However, it's a light Pokemon, so you're still going to be taking a lot anyways. It's weird. So yeah, Duraludon not starting out that great, and its moveset is kind of weird as well. That even though it's a Dragon-type Pokemon, we don't get access to any Fire-type moves. And you can't say that's because it's Steel, because that's a neutral hit, and also we have Pokemon like Aggron that still get access to the Flamethrower, Fire Blast, stuff like that. So Duraludon wants to be a bulky special attacker, but it doesn't really have the coverage to back that up. We've got Stab, we've got a little bit of Electric that's just splashed in randomly, and then a couple of other options that you can run, and that's Duraludon. So this is a very small and limited moveset. I guess the Mirror Coat is like the most interesting tech that you can get, because you're going to take a big special attack from time to time, so bouncing that back is pretty cool. And that's about as complex as Duraludon gets. So much like a lot of the other Generation 8 Pokemon, pretty limited, pretty like just standard as what Game Freak wants this Pokemon to do. Hell, if you even look at the rental team on the Battle Stadium, they just kind of make it a sacrifice screen setting Pokemon, so even Game Freak doesn't have a lot of faith in this guy. Let's go and check out the movesets. So, Special Attacker, that's it. You know, we got Thunderbolt, Dragon Pulse, Flash Cannon, and then Foul Play. So like I said, there's a splashable move in there outside of your standard triple coverage right here, and Foul Play is one I've seen. It's good if the opponent's setting up, you can use that bulk, take the hit, kind of do more damage or maybe blow them up depending on how much they've set up or how much damage they've already taken. Could just turn into your best damage option. Then we just have Hit Point, Special Attack, Modest Nature. You just do damage and you hope you take less, and I think there's just better Pokemon in the game for doing that for both special and physical attackers, and some of them might even have better coverage. So I guess maybe the reason why you run Duraludon is because of that surprise factor. Is it going to start setting up screens for the team or something, or is it actually going to have a lot of damage behind it? So we have Light Screen, Reflect, Stealth Rock, Steel Beam. You just kind of just throw out tons of setup, hope it all sticks, and then if you still somehow survive 3 turns because of like Light Screen, Reflect, maybe the opponent does a little bit of setup, you trade Stealth Rocks, or you trade like a Reflect for Stealth Rocks, they try to hit you, you get Light Screen, they try to hit you, Stealth Rocks, and then you survive like 3 hit points in Steel Beam. Therefore it doesn't matter, and you just get damage down, and then Light Clay is going to make all of that last for a while. That's something. However, if the opponent's going for some really heavy setup, they can just like keep setting up against you, because Stealth Rocks is a noob trap. I will say this every time. It is one of the worst moves in the game, and it's only here because there's nothing else to do. If you are dedicating a Pokemon to sacrifice, you might as well have it here, but it's a bad move. And if the opponent uses that to set up against you, you're going to be in trouble. If it's a Corviknight that's using Iron Defense into Body Press, Duraludon is losing that. If it's a Mimikyu setting up Swords Dance, Duraludon is losing that. Anything setting up anything, Duraludon is losing that. So that is a risk. However, if the opponent's trying to go for like just some hard offensive sweeping Pokemon, they might force a Dynamax off this, just try to break through your setup or something. Otherwise, you might be able to get off a full rotation, and that'll feel pretty good, and it will carry you throughout the rest of the battle. Because Light Screen Reflect, Dual Screens is going to be very, very good options, and Steel Beam's like half an opponent's health when uninvested. So for this set, I just recommend Hit Point, Defense, Special Defense Investment, Defensive Nature, just kind of maxing out defenses, getting the most out of the stats, and hoping for the best. And I guess that's kind of like what I was talking about, you know, there is that unpredictability in what Duraludon's going to do, because if you eat a super effective hit from a 120 special attack Pokemon, it's not going to be fun, and it does have the coverage to just kind of tag people with random super effective hits. The Assault Vest is going to keep it around, but you can do anything on this when it comes to just like bulky item Pokemon. Do you want to run the Citrus Berry? You can do that. Do you want to run the Leftovers, just in case the opponent is not doing a lot of damage and you're around for enough turns to where the Leftovers is better than the Citrus Berry? That's something I've seen. You know, you get into those weird stall wars, and then Duraludon just tries to keep edging out damage and getting through it. There is that infamous PP battle that I had, you know, Toxapex versus Duraludon. You can watch how that plays out by checking out the video description down below. So leave a like if you're enjoying the video so far and all of my other content. But yeah, like Duraludon, like it just gets stopped. But it does have surprising damage. Like I've gotten hit by Duraludon, I've gone, what the hell was that? Where did that come from? But it wasn't enough to threaten me. It wasn't enough to actually make me fear that this Duraludon was going to do something to me. So that's just kind of it. Also, we have Choice Specs Duraludon and some other options. So this right here is not a moveset. It can be a moveset, but I'm not just saying like this is the only way you run it. Like Choice Specs Snarl doesn't really feel that great. So instead of Foul Play, that's where you put the Snarl. It can be good for Disruption. It can also work in doubles. Like you just sit there in doubles and you're lowering special attack, and then you're just soaking damage. But it's not going to be a crazy amount of damage, so consider where your special attack investment goes from there. But I was just kind of showing some of these other weird move options that you have, like the Solar Beam. Solar Beam isn't that great unless you have a Sunny Day set up. It does make Duraludon more vulnerable because Fire-type moves get boosted, but Solar Beam into Dynamax is also really powerful, and that's one thing like that makes Duraludon really weird. Draco Meteor, that has a massive drawback. Steel Beam has a massive drawback. Solar Beam has a drawback. But if you Dynamax, those drawbacks go away, and now you're a 120 special attack Pokemon that has ridiculous base power in those max moves, but you can't choice with them. So I guess like Assault Vest, Dynamax, this, and then just running higher base power moves for that is going to be threatening. However, you're going to take damage, it's going to stick, and the opponent might get more mileage out of their Dynamax. And unless you're using Steel Beam, you're not really getting too many crazy benefits. Like Solar Beam, I guess healing up is kind of nice. So you get really weird interactions that end up happening. I guess actually Snarl on the Dynamax does work for some specific bulky Pokemon. Hit him with the Max Darkness, hit him with the Max Wormwind. That could be a KO right there. Then you have the Steel Beam just coming through, Steel Spike plus defense, insane amounts of damage. If you're running the Salt Vest or the Citrus Berry, that's something good. But I just kind of want to show the dichotomy of the movesets. You can either run the safe low base power, or you can run the Insanity, and the Insanity is only going to work if you are Dynamaxing. Or you can just run it like this. You know, Choice Specs, come in, Draco Meteor, pop something, switch out. Come in, Choice Specs, Steel Beam, maybe just for that one shot, switch out. So, high amount of hit points, high amount of special attack. Hope that you can take 3 hits. You know, your 3-hit KO Pokemon, that way you can do 2 rotations, and you maybe just use Steel Beam as your last one. So this Pokemon can 2 for 1, especially with the Choice Specs, but if it gets walled out, if it gets Dynamaxed against, then the strategy just kind of falls through, and it's spexed into bad things, and you're just letting your opponent set up. So, like, there is some threat potential behind Duraludon. Maybe I just haven't seen it utilized correctly in the over 100 battles I've done in Pokemon Sword and Shield, but it sounds a lot scarier than it is, and then, like I said, I don't really ever feel threat from this Pokemon, but I guess maybe the one to watch out for would be Assault Vest, this, and then running this moveset, so I guess like that. and then you gain defense with the Assault Vest, and then you're dropping things, and that's kind of cool. Maybe in doubles there's also potential for this, that if you just like Dynamax and just start going for like crazy ham levels of damage, and you have like a Heal Pulse Pokemon, that way Duraludon gets some sustain put into it, you can get 3 pretty impactful turns, and when it wears off, you still have a Draco Meteor or a Steel Beam, and then you just kind of take Pokemon with you. So yeah, that's kind of all I've got for Duraludon, except for damage calculations. Don't leave the video yet. We got to see how this ends up playing out. So for the setup Duraludon, I want to see how much an uninvested Steel Beam did. It's not a lot, you know, but it is a lot. Gengar doesn't get one-hit KO'd, which is something you'd kind of hope for out of a 140 base power move that takes half of your health, but we are uninvested, so it's just damage. It just sticks. It's just going to be something that's going to make the opponent kind of feel bad as you go down. Like, say you're going to be fainted anyways next turn. This is effectively like the self-sacrificing U-turn Volt Switch for ridiculous amounts of damage, after you've already gotten Light Screen, Reflect, Stealth Rocks, and stuff like that. So it's interesting. However, most Pokemon are not as frail as Gengar. There's still the chance that the opponent just naturally resists you and you're not going to do a lot. So let's see, like, Excadrill. Maybe they switch in Excadrill, maybe they try to hurt you, maybe that's when you get your Steel Beam off, and it's not half, so you're going to kind of like tag them on the way out, and that's most that you're getting out of it. And I just want to show some comparisons, because like the weird thing about Duraludon is that it does more damage than the Dragapult. This is a 120 special attack versus a 100 special attack. We are trading speed for bulk, and Assault Vest means we survive the Draco Meteor sometimes, slightly, most of the time. But if without the Assault Vest, then we just kind of get blown up. But that's actually kind of a good thing, because Dragapult then has to switch, or else it's not a threat at all, because it's choice locked into something that's lowering its damage. So that could give you an option, but just kind of like sacrificing Pokemon to that isn't that great. Unless Duraludon already did something. You know, they come in, they're like, well, the only way of taking out the Duraludon is with the big Draco Meteor. Yeah, maybe Duraludon finishes off Pokemon, sacrifices itself, and then you can try to regain momentum off of what it takes to take down Duraludon, because that is the point here. It takes the ridiculous gamble, it takes the drawback to take down Duraludon like that. Or if the opponent doesn't have choice specs, if it's a physical Dragapult, they waste a turn Dragon Dancing thinking they can try to overtake you or something, then Dragapult is going to have a pretty bad time just against the bulk and the damage of this Pokemon. Dragon Pulse. Modest Dragon Pulse is enough to just take down the Dragapult, and even at +1 Dragon Darts, you are fine. But mostly I just wanted to say, hey, even Duraludon has more damage than Dragapult, because Dragapult's not a good Pokemon. And now I'm just kind of thinking, alright, so what about that choice spec set? Like, what if your only purpose for the Duraludon is to just sacrifice a Pokemon instantly? Like, this could be a really interesting lead in 3v3. You go Specs Duraludon, and then you just blow the opponent up. You take the hit, you Steel Beam, and then you just trade it like that. Now, you can also do that with Draco Meteor. That's still going to be a significant amount of damage, and the 120 special attack, 140 stab base power can kind of kill almost anything except for like the most bulky of special attack Pokemon, and if they're that bulky, then they might not even be able to do the half of the health that it takes to take you out. Also, another weird thing about Duraludon is that speed stat. That 85 speed actually outspeed tanks. So you can break down some tank Pokemon, or depending on how it goes, like some really weird interactions going to happen. There could be situations where you get a second Steel Beam off, or maybe you blow up an opponent, they bring in a sweeper, you switch out, you save it for when another tank Pokemon comes in, Duraludon comes in as a revenge Pokemon, and then you just get massive amounts of damage on that Steel Beam. So the choice specs tag, it works, especially against physical Pokemon. That's a thing. And then, yeah, it's just going to be damage, damage, damage from there. So, that's Duraludon, guys. I have yet to see it do anything. But it seems like it should do something, because it's a high special attack, bulky Pokemon that does insane amounts of damage behind the Dynamax, or just with the choice specs, and it trades very well. So, if anything, it's like worst case 1-for-1, which isn't super terrible. There's a lot more garbage out there in Pokemon, or it can actually, like, be a really big Pokemon, and then it takes out, like, it goes 2-for-1, or maybe even more. It just bulks out damage, and then that's going to be a thing. But the problem is, like I said, it's so easy to set up against. But I guess maybe that's just, like, how important setup is in Pokemon Sword and Shield. That Duraludon getting set up against, like, if this Pokemon existed in previous generations, we would maybe see a lot more insanity out of it. Because of Dynamax just being able to, like, stop its nuke, and then being able to be exploited. And then if like you force your Duraludon Dynamax, it's not fast, it's not sweeper, it's not stacking stats before, during, or after Dynamax, so it can't run away with the game. It's just there to disrupt, and that disruptive power can be very good, like if you use it to maybe cancel out an opponent's Dynamax and you have different strats behind it, but you can't really like rely on this Pokemon too much. So maybe it just needs a really good team build around it that no one has really unlocked, and then like Duraludon just kind of stops the opposing shenanigans, and you don't need the Dynamax on your side to win because you build other strategies around that with other sweepers, setup, scarf, utilization, and stuff like that. So it's interesting. I'm not a fan of its design. I don't like the Pokemon, but somehow at the end of all of this like strategy guiding, I'm like, wait, I'm kind of cheering for it, because upon further review, you know, not a lot of people are talking great about it. I've seen people like try to push for it. It's never threatened me, but I'm like, it feels like it should. It should be doing more, so hopefully Duraludon actually pops off, and then it's like, cool, now we'll actually see something happen here. So if you guys enjoy the video, hope you have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.